Well, good day. We're continuing here with our 2008 Londonderry Candidate Forum. I'm Joe Paradise, and I'm moderating this. The next session here is going to be a little candidate discussion for the Budget Committee, those running for Budget Committee. We actually have two openings. Actually, we have three openings. There are two openings for excuse me, let's go back. It's a 3-year term for the Budget Committee normally, and there are 3 positions that are open for that. We have Tom Dolan, who's running. We have Don Jorgensen, Mark Oswald, and John Wilson, who couldn't make it today. We also have a 2-year term that is open for only 1 position, and that's Deb Gymkhana, right, Deb?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Deb is running unopposed, but she would like to be in on the question session here because she, like the rest of us, loves pain, right? So we will use the same format as we did for the town council candidates. And we have our panelists, Bill Gilman from the Derry News, April Gumet from Londonderry Times, and Trent Spinner from the Union Leader. They will be asking 2 questions each, we believe, and we'll rotate these in order. Then we will go to the audience also if they would like to ask questions. First, let's give a little bit of an overview of about a minute each for you folks to introduce yourselves and let everybody know what you're all about. We'll start with you, Mr. Dolan.
Thanks, Joe. My name is Tom Dolan. I've been a New Hampshire resident since the late 60s, specifically in Londonderry since the mid-80s. My town services in the past have included various boards and commissions, most notably 6 years on the town council, and this past year on the Budget Committee as a retired town councilor. And I have 2 children who have graduated from the Londonderry school system and now either off on their own or in college. And I'm a strong believer in community service and giving back to the community that's been so good to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Don.
Yes, my name is Don Jorgensen, and I have been a resident in Londonderry since 1984. I came here after a number of stops along the way in various states and cities with a career that I had with the aviation community. My wife and I moved here, as I said, in 1984. I was active in a career for quite a number of years on a number of various positions. I recently retired from all of them, so according to my wife, I am semi-retired, not fully retired, but nonetheless. And I've really become interested over the last year in the local community itself, and I felt that I really had not carried my weight in the local community by becoming active in what was going on. And I thought the Budget Committee really offered an opportunity for me to do just that and give back to the community with the experiences and knowledge that I've gained over all these years, and specifically related to budget-type processes, which I have quite a bit of experience with. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mark.
Thank you. Mark Oswald. Our family moved here in 1987, about 21 years ago. We raised our 3 daughters. The attraction, like many families, was the excellent public school system here in Londonderry. And like many parents, we became actively involved in supporting our daughters' activities, whether it was the marching band or coaching soccer or softball and all the rest. I became involved initially as a member of the planning board, where I served for 6 years, and then was first elected to the town council in 1999. I've chosen after 3 terms of office not to run for re-election to a 4th term for consul. Having said that, I do feel I have some significant experience to offer and to continue to serve the community that we call home.
Thank you. And Deb?
Good morning. My name is Deb Gymkhana, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. The other evening I did a 6-minute infomercial, so you'll get to learn more about me there. I won't bore you. But the reason why I have chosen to run for the Budget Committee is because I bring experience. I have an extensive background in accounting, finance, auditing, tax. I was a government agent for about 4.5 years. And what I currently do is work for an organization that has a $716 billion budget. And what we do every day is analyze businesses, domestically and internationally. We look at those things, those components that make companies succeed and those that don't. And running for the Budget Committee, while it is a town with families and personal feelings, it also has to be run like a company. You have to make smart decisions and look at your return on investment as a taxpayer. And I would like to be a part of this ever-changing environment that we are involved in right now with the economy, and the town is changing with the residents due to that economy. And there are two kinds of people, those that complain and those that do something. So I've chose to do something, and I feel quite honored to be sitting amongst these gentlemen right here and a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's next go to our panelists, and we'll start, I guess we'll start with April this time, to be fair.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. My first question for you would be, if the South School warrant fails this year, what should happen next, especially since the school is not currently up to fire code?
Okay, Tom, let's start with you.
Sure. It's been, in my opinion, this year, going through the budget and going through the various options that the South School bond to upgrade the South School and to tear the portables down is the most important and has the highest priority, more so than any of the other bonds or any of the other spending articles we put in front of the voters. If it were to fail, then I think that the school board ought to immediately begin the process of reintroducing it to next year's budget. I think it's will become even more of an emergency. I think that they'll need to review their strategy and their marketing to explain to the voters a little bit better as to why it failed and why it needs to pass next spring. In the meantime, shoring up the portables that are still there is going to be important. I know that we've done some work to prop up the roof that was getting close to being in a dangerous, unsafe condition. I think we've got to go through those portables again, make sure there are no safety issues that aren't manageable. If there are, to get them fixed. As far as the entire South School, I think it's disappointing that we have a school that is missing or does not have the a sprinkler system. I think Matthew Thornton is also in that same condition. I would recommend that all of our schools have that. We've seen tragedies in the news with nightclubs, and although our schools are typically used for nightclub activities, I still think that anytime you have that many people in such a confined area, that I think that the current fire code is put in place for a reason through experience, and I think our kids should be protected by a sprinkler system. So I would be in favor of upgrading both the South School, if that warrant article fails, and Matthew Thornton, by the way, with sprinkler systems.
Thank you. Don?
Yes, well, I have, frankly, I don't feel that I'm quite as experienced as the gentleman to my right here by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he summarized quite well what needs to be done in that area, and I think it's simply an obligation that we have to convey to both the community voters and to the heads of our local council the importance to make sure that that bond does pass. And I think if people are given the facts, the voters are given the facts, and the negatives associated with the risk of not doing it, I happen to be fairly optimistic and think that they will. Again, if they don't, which I don't think will pass, I mean, what are we talking about? Overall burden of somewhere around $35 a year or less per person. I think if they don't, then it's an issue of just finding the resources to repair those issues that are absolutely critical. I think it's as simple as that. It's got to be done.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you. South School was constructed in the early 1970s. When we moved to town in 1987, portables were introduced as a short-term fix. And I think the message